This is Andy Purewal for Boxing News. I'm joined by Malik Scott here in Saudi Arabia.
What's
Malik,
up, brother?
how's life treating you?
Good, man. Um, Second time out here in Saudi. Come to do things the right way. Deontay said something yesterday that was real imperative, you can say. And he said last time he didn't give the Saudis what they wanted, and this time here he's ready to do it the right way. And doing it the right way is crossing all his T's and dotting all his I's the way he did in training camp. Um, and being very violent and being very assertive and being the bronze bomber. And he's back. In the last 5 and 6 weeks in training camp, it showed that he's back. And the intent is back there. So I'm looking forward to Saturday night for him.
We'll come on to Saturday shortly, but
Mm-hmm.
this interview was something that I wanted to do back in December, but we just never quite was able to align.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the things was I wanted to kind of reflect on your own career
Yeah.
and then the transition from being a fighter now into a coach.
Yes.
So take me back to the beginning of your journey into boxing and what pulled you into the sport.
What pulled me into the sport because I have a brother who was born with a blount disease, and kids will always tease him in the tough streets of North Philadelphia. And when we was coming up as kids, I used to fight for him a lot. One of my uncles seen me fighting one day, and he took me to a boxing gym, and I never turned back ever since. So I like to say if it wasn't for the sake of my brother's handicap and him being teased as a kid, I wouldn't have been in so many, you could say fights, defending him. And when my uncle seen that, he took me to a boxing gym, and from there, I met a man that saved my life named Fred Jenkins, who was my trainer as a child coming up. It was like a mentor as well. From there, I went to Junior Olympics, won the Junior Olympics, and went to go live in Marquette, Michigan University up at USOEC. And I was very, very young at that age when I went to do that. But Al Mitchell, he put me in a high school program up there. And then I was still able to live on college campus. And I was able to win the U.S. championships up there. I was able to win the under 19s up there. I won a few tournaments from up there. And then from there, I believe the next year, I went for the Olympics. I lost in the box off. And then the following months, I turned pro and was with Main Events, and Shelly Finkel was my manager.
Before we come on to kind of a pro scene, man, let's just
Hmm.
kick into the amateur
Yes.
progress. But is the amateur scene as different as what people describe it after a number of interviews where we speak about the
Yeah.
differences between amateur to professional style? How would you compare and contrast the two?
What you mean, like the
Stylistically, how does it? How would you say an amateur
Oh, it's
style would
just in
compare?
amateur you don't have time, and the professionals you have time. That's why you rarely hear about people saying an amateur fighter is a slow starter, and it's because that's just not an option as an amateur. You have to go out there and get busy. You have to go out there letting your hands go. Um, Almost everything that you train to do, you have 3, 6, 9, 9 to 18 minutes to get it all done. Because it's 3 minutes per round. It's 3 to 5 rounds. So you really just don't have that kind of time. And when I was amateur, it was only 3 rounds. You know what I mean? 3 minutes per round. So you really, guys just go out there throwing punches and shoot shining and just trying to rack up points and rack up points. So, and then coming to the pros, the rounds are longer. The fights are longer. You go to 4 rounds, 6 rounds, 8 rounds, 10, and you become a 12-round fighter once you fight for the championship. So you have so much time to operate on your opponent as a professional, so that eventually, depending on your trainer, it allows you to be more seasoned. It allows you to be more defensively responsible. Most guys, to me, they defense become very, very elite when they turn professional, and it's only because they have time to be defensive. You don't really have time to be defensive in amateurs. You got to get out there and get your hands going and put your offense on the other guy. So the difference to me is just the time aspect. You have some guys that fight amateur, and you could say, and you could look at him right off the rip and say, oh, he has an amateur style. And that usually come with the chin up and punches just in bunches and letting your hands go real, real fast and focusing on the noise of pss, pss, pss. That's like an amateur type of feel. Professionals are a lot more seasoned. You could look at, there are even some amateur fighters you could look at and say, wow, he has a pro style because he's being taught to be fundamentally sound and to be seasoned. And how do you be seasoned? You be seasoned by Come in. Hold on.
Picking right back up,
Pop.
Malik.
Yeah.
Obviously, you're a popular man. Everybody wants to come and
Yeah,
see
that's
you.
my son. I got my son with me, but it's good.
Is your son going to take up boxing?
Yeah, I teach him how to defend himself. He wants to be a boxer. But wanting to be a boxer is not like a mood swing thing to me. You gotta like want to do this when you don't feel like it. You gotta want to do this when there's no boxing matches going on. You gotta want to do this when you're walking down the street by yourself and you're anxious to get to a boxing gym. But I want to touch on what I was saying beforehand as far as
Amateur and
amateur
professional.
and pros. You could look at certain amateur fighters and you could say, oh, he has a pro style. When Floyd Mayweather was amateur, you could still see the professional ranks in his style. Like, you know what I mean? You could just see it in there because he come from the bloodline of nothing but professional fighters. Then you could look at somebody like, let me see, it was a guy named Terrence Cawthon from Philadelphia. He made the Olympic team and he made it at 132 pounds, but his style was all amateur. He had very, very fast hands. He didn't really turn his punches over a lot. His chin was up a lot of the times. And when he turned pro, he wasn't that successful as a pro because he always had an amateur type of style. He never was really taught to plant his feet to get seasoned into a style. So that usually is the difference, the time aspect and the different type of the different type of, you could say, seasoning and styles. Like,
Listening to you talk, Malik, and we did our first ever interview on the media day on Monday. You seem to be a real student of the game, like you study it, like your life depends on it.
yes.
When you was coming through, which fighters in particular did you watch and study and try and take ideas from?
It was most likely Georgie Benton. He was before my time. I've always loved Bob Foster, somebody else that was way before my time. Um, and it was certain things that I liked about certain old fighters. Like I loved how Joe Louis always kept his torso down. Like he never really was a straight up type of fighter. Ali was more of a center style, straight up a type fighter, like head up and kind of looking down at his opponents. Or even if his opponents was high, Ali hands would be up and his angles would be basically from side to side. When Joe Louis style is, his core and his torso was down to his right, and his offense and his defense always came from his right side. So I was very big on that because your head is off the line automatically when you have like a Joe Louis type of style. Jersey Joe Walcott is probably in my top three of all time. Um, just the angles that he would give, not just with his feet, but with his shoulders, with his head movements. He was the first fighter that I really understood that you could take small walks in the ring and throw the opposition rhythm off. And what do I mean by that? Take small walks. He would feint with his shoulders. He would move with his shoulders and take small walks. A guy would think he disengaging, so they would come on with offense. And when they come on with offense, don't forget he's already moving his shoulders while he's disengaging, and he'll turn and left uppercut, left hook, straight right hand. That's the Jersey Joe Walcott style. I really was big on that. Who else did I like? I liked the Hector Camacho coming up. Mildred Taylor was probably my favorite fighter coming up as a young kid. But even then, as I got older and I became seasoned myself in the game, that's when Lennox Lewis became my favorite fighter and my favorite heavyweight of all time because he did almost everything a boxer can want to do, in the sense you can say. And that's coming from a defeat aspect. That's coming from victory, agony. Lennox Lewis has been through it all. So you see someone like that go through it, and he was the first dinosaur, basically not dinosaur. He was the first giant, you can say, out of all the new heavyweights. He really brought this big man game type of style on. Like, you know what I mean? Fighting from behind your knee, not fighting with your chin up, using your jab, using your range, and having good balance. And that was the thing. And I always had childhood heroes in my gym. David Reed, Olympic gold medalist, Zaire Rahim, Olympian. I always had like childhood heroes just in my gym, in ABC gym, Fred Jingles, because it was just tons of talent in that gym. So a lot of my heroes is people that I really just grew up being under in the gym every single day. Like, you know what I mean? So one would say, even now, like some of my top fighters of all times, one of my top 5 fighters of all time is Julian J. Rock Williams, who beat Hurd for the title in Hurd hometown and everything. Julian J. Rock Williams is one of the most fundamental, technically sound fighters that I've ever laid out on. He's a beautiful fighter. He has incredible skills. He's a throwback type of style. When he's on, he's on. He's like unbeatable when he's on. And and the difference between victory and losing really has nothing to do with why someone is great to me or why someone can be considered like my favorite. It's really not about that. It's about how people come back. It's about character. It's about style. It's about, does someone know how to use their advantages all the time, with regardless of the opposition? Does someone know how to take away weapons from a fighter? Like, I mean, things of that nature. I come across like a real geek when it comes to this because I just am. Like, you know what I mean? It's all I've known and all I've done since I've been 12 years old, fortunately and unfortunately.
Um, Going backwards towards your comments on Lennox Lewis, you mentioned kind of he was maybe the first of this new era of giant heavyweights
Yeah.
to come in and kind of change the style and the approach that he would take in the ring. Do you agree with that sentiment, that maybe he was the one who kind of set the trend of seeing this new wave of heavyweights come through?
Yeah,
Your
especially
Deontay's, your
like
AJ's, your
yes,
Furies, etc.
yes, especially the big heavyweights being over 6'3". That was Lennox, and then the Vitalis, and then the Vladimirs, and even you could say the Tyson Furies, the Deontay Wilders, the Anthony. It all come from, like, it don't come from Lennox, but he was the first giant to actually start this whole heavyweight reign. You could say the new era of big men. Riddick Bowe even was a big man, like, you know what I mean. So, but Lennox, how can I put it? I just like, you know, I just I love fighters who come across as intelligent and aggressive. I love fighters that move and live in their own cocoon. And Lennox was the first fighter that I really noticed that was like that. He moved in his own cocoon no matter what people said about him. He stayed true to himself. Because I didn't hear Lennox be called every name. And you know, in boxing, you could be called every name in the book that has nothing to do with how good you are in the ring. Because boxing is really a quack type of sport. Like, where people just love to talk. And and what they really don't talk about it enough is the actual craft. There's more gossiping that go on in boxing and less craft talk. Like, you know what I mean? So the fact that Lennox was even able to defeat that aspect of the game, the entertainment aspect of the game, and wait till his career was over to then start a family, to then do other things besides boxing. And one time that he did step out of the sport and got a little bit, you could say, distracted, he paid the price for it, because I think he went and did a movie, Ocean's 11, and then the next fight, Rockman knocked him out. He never did nothing like that before. He was always like one of the most focused fighters of all time. He stayed locked in.
How difficult is it for a fighter to stay so locked in throughout the entirety of their careers? Because when you look at kind of the financial element now, and obviously you see what Saudi Arabia are doing, I can imagine it, once kind of a fighter has X amount in their bank account, they have a nice house for cars, a family set up going for them, it can be difficult to stay motivated.
Yeah, it's tough to wake up in silk pajamas and have 3 Rolls Royces outside, a big mansion, you know, you champion or not champion, whatever it is, you're reaping the benefits of everything that you work hard for, and still continue to keep that same motivation and be inspired to continue to want to be the best. That's a whole different level of success, and, you know, wanting to be, is beyond being pound for pound. That has everything to do with character to me. Some fighters, or not even fighters, some athletes, financial gain is just not enough for them to feel complete. You got some athletes that once they get their money and once they get their fame, that's enough for them to be notorious. Like, they're good with just that. But then you got the Michael Jordans and the Kobe Bryants of the world, and even the Floyd Mayweathers of the world, that's just not enough. They want to be multiple time champions. Winning 1 championship is not enough. Winning 2 championships is not enough. They want the whole pie, and they go after it in a very aggressive manner. And they're very evil and they're spiteful. When I say that, I'm not talking about as people. I'm talking about, no, I am talking about as people, but I'm saying in their craft. The same, they are who they are, but in their craft, they're very evil, spiteful. They take no prisoners and things of that nature.
Meek, I want to go back to kind of your comments earlier on about the amateur time
Yeah.
in the ring, in terms of how many minutes and the rounds being shorter there than in the pro ranks. An interesting thing which I didn't notice until I was just kind of doing a bit of research before doing this interview is your first scheduled 12 rounder came when you fought Deontay.
Yes.
Obviously it didn't go over 12 rounds, but it was your first scheduled
Yes.
one. Would you argue your style or your boxing ability was more suited to the amateur system, given that you had boxed shorter rounds up until the Deontay fight?
I,
Or is that me reading a bit too much into it?
No, no, no. Well, maybe because I think at that time I had over 25 fights. I don't think I had a real amateur type of style, and I think that I believe in speed. I believed in speed. I didn't believe in playing rock'em sock'em. If believing in speed and not believing in playing rock'em sock'em, you hit me, I hit you as amateur, then that's the type of style that I had. I was very safety first, I would say. Um, um, there is amateur qualities that was in my style, but I wasn't doing nothing but boxing nothing but professionals once I turned professional and even beforehand. So there's a lot of seasoning tricks that I picked up as well, and why I'm able to even have this interview with you today and not stutter and not have any type of issues. I've been in the sport since I've been 12 years old, and I was a professional for I don't know how many years and an amateur for I don't know how many years. And I could conversate with some of the best people in the world, and it's perfectly fine. It's not because I wasn't boxing or I wasn't getting hit. It was because I was dressed down in defense most of the time. And that's another thing, unfortunately, because it's risk taking when you even do that, because you're leaving a lot of financial gain on the table, being safety first and dressed down in defense. You're leaving a lot of fame. You're leaving a lot of opportunity out there because you can always get more. Um, and I watch some fighters, like in my opinion, a lot of things I say come from an experience standpoint. So I could watch a fighter not take a bunch of, not take like real risk when he's fighting, and it can make me a bit. I wouldn't say it makes me feel a bit discouraged. It makes me feel a bit what's the word I'm looking for, because it has nothing to do with me. It has everything to do with me learning from experience on going without, from not taking risks. And when I see another fighter doing it, bothers me because I'm saying it's so much there for you to get if you just take these risks. Like, you know what I mean? It's a very, very gifted fighter that people feel he don't take enough risks when he fight. And to me, he's one of the best fighters to ever not ever lace him up, but he's one of the best fighters in the world, Shakur Stevenson. Like, people see him have an off day, and his off day in a 12-round fight, it'd be 10 rounds to 2. You know what I mean? But it's not crowd pleasing to people that is there for strictly entertainment. Now, someone like me, I'm geeked out off of Shakur Stevenson. I can watch him fight 3 12-rounders back to back, back to back, and there's tons of film study for me. But we're living in a time where instant gratification, not just in boxing, but in all sports, is at an all-time high. The appreciation of craft is just not the same as it used to be. The appreciation of someone like a Shakur Stevenson being able to fight going to his left, going to his right, going forward, and going backwards with either hand, and be able to do it at 12 rounds with guys that can fight, that's considered straight boring to the typical consumer. But someone like me to have a love for the game, I appreciate that, because when I was a kid, they was calling Pernell Whitaker boring. They was calling at one time. Do you know they was calling Lennox Lewis one of the most boring heavyweights at one time? At one time, do you know they was saying Vladimir and Vitaly Klitschko was extremely boring? In human nature, they don't appreciate you until you're gone. They just don't. That's just how this goes. I don't remember. You name me any fighter that was considered extremely dangerous, and I'm talking about knockout artists and boxers. I could tell you a time in their life where people were saying, "Huh, he's overrated." I don't think much of him. I was talking to a journalist the other day, and I was telling them, I remember Mike Tyson. We know the run that Tyson had. I'm talking about an early Mike, a film study early Mike, a customado Mike Tyson. I could name 3 or 4 fights where I remember, even as a young kid, that people were saying, "Ah, he's overrated. He's not that good." And they were saying that. They were saying that while he was champion, but he would go 12 rounds with the likes of Bone Crusher Smith. He would go 12 rounds with Mitch Green. He would go 12 rounds with Tony Tucker. And if he wasn't looking like dynamic Mike to them, they was like, he's just not that good. There was a time they didn't appreciate Larry Holmes. But they didn't appreciate Larry Holmes because what? He was in the Ali era, so they didn't even want to switch right to somebody else's great, when, in my opinion, I would pick Larry Holmes over Muhammad Ali any day of the week, concerning styles, concerning a good jab, concerning movement, concerning sufficient defense. Like, I just would. There's a time that Lennox Lewis was considered boring. They were saying these things. I have print-ups and articles of all this stuff. Vitaly Klitschko and Vladimir Klitschko. Just boring. All they want to do is hold and clinch. They'll be saying all they want to do is hold and clinch when their records was like 40-0 with 37 knockouts. But all they doing is holding and clinching. It take people sometimes. Mankind is built to understand things from an everlasting level when it's not a bit too late, but it's a Johnny come lately type of activity, you can say, thought wise. Like, you know what I mean? They always catch things too late. And I try my best not to do that, especially in boxing. Like, you know what I mean? You really can't. If someone has a good record and they're extremely dynamic, it's for a reason. Get into that. If someone is a good boxer, Shakur is who he is, it's not because he's some boring fighter. Get into that style. Like, you know what I mean? Get into that because there's genius in that. Once again, I'm coming from a geek aspect. I know that the typical consumer don't give a shit about none of this I'm talking about. I'm just trying to give understanding on how this game go. So no one should ever really get discouraged because isn't it ironic the most successful fighter of all time is also the most defensive fighter of all time? Floyd Mayweather, when it comes to numbers and when it comes to the financial gain ladder. So in my mind, that will automatically tell me as a fighter that defense is important. That would tell me as a fighter that you shouldn't play rock'em sock'em. You hit me, I'd hit you 5 days a week in a sparring session while your trainer is yelling, "That's it, right back. That's it, right back. That's it, right back." This is whenever you see like these clips of sparring that go on nowadays, right? And you see these guys playing rock'em sock'em in the gym. Listen to what the instructions that's being yelled at the boxers is being said. It's not no instructions. It's just right back. Right back. All right, your turn now. All your turn now. Now you take a kid that's 17, between 17 and 21 years old, and he do that 4 or 5 days a week. Rock'em sock'em boxing. Because most kids is boxing minimum 4 times a week. You're destroying. It's just like it's just not. It's not good. It's not healthy. It's not nothing. It's not nothing good about that.
I have to ask you then, Malik. I've done a number of interviews in the past where, to myself, I kind of question:
Yes.
Are they kind of struggling from those past wars in the ring, sparring or
Yeah.
actually professional fights? And he started to kind of take their toll. All the talk of CTE as a consequence of boxing. One of those men has a fight coming up in Derek Chisora.
Yes.
A lot of people would love to see Derek retire now. He's had numerous hard fights, numerous hard sparring
Tons.
rounds. You've shared the ring with him. And you said to me earlier on, kind of one of the benefits you've had from the way you used to fight was we can conversate, and in my mind, it's not a concern of down the line you might become a bit more kind of blurry with your speech. Do you look at Derek Chisora as somebody who should maybe step away because of the consequences of his fights?
It's tough for us to say this from the comfort of wherever it is we're at, right? I'm sure Derek is still fighting for his own reasons. I'm not the one to get into that right there, what somebody should do and shouldn't, but I could tell you was what I consider right and what I consider wrong. What I consider wrong is I don't even want to say kids, any boxer that's in the gym and 4 or 5 days a week he's playing rock'em sock'em in his sparring session, and the instructions that's being yelled at him is right back, your turn now, right back, and there's no being dressed down in defense, being addressed to him by his coaches, by his trainer, whoever it is they want to call. This is a huge problem. This is cutting the lifespan off of a lot of fighters. 13 fighters a year pass away. And a lot of these times, the fighters pass away in a fight, right? Yeah, it's from the fight. It's from the sparring too, I believe, though. The fight is almost just like the cherry on top. It's almost like if guys is in gym wars over and over, day in and day out, then one day they get in the ring, and then they get hit with a shot, and then now they gone, and they in a coma, and then they don't make it through. That didn't come from just that time under the lights in the ring on a fight night. That came through repetition of that tough, in my opinion, very meaningless type of sparring. It just is. Is it a time to spar hard? Absolutely. Shit, yeah, it is. This is no soft sport. You're supposed to get in there and let your hands go and have your gritty, rough days in sparring. But to do that 4 times a week, 5 times a week, over and over and over and over and over again, and then even while you're doing it, the instructions that's being told to you is not clinch. Because in boxing, most trainers don't even teach their fighters nowadays how to clinch. When you look at old school fights, you will hear actual trainers telling their guys to clinch. You'll hear Emmanuel Stewart telling Lennox to clinch. You hear Emmanuel Stewart telling Tommy Hearns to clinch because not just because it was a survival tactic, you also wear your opponents down by clinching. So sometimes you got to take the juice and the what's the word I'm looking for? The adrenaline. You got to drain the adrenaline out your opponent sometimes by tying them up. You look at when Lennox Lewis fought Mike Tyson. Part of the plan was for Lennox to clinch him up, wear him down, tie him down. Like, you know what I mean? So these things, to me, they just don't get taught. And it comes from an ego standpoint, just in boxing. Most boxing trainers are scared to lose their job, and they should be. So before they actually go and bring in a wrestling coach or MMA guy to help their guy to learn how to clinch and do clinch drills with their guy, they'd rather play copycat off a YouTube video and act like they are like a professor in clinching when you could just actually pay someone to come in and teach your fighter how to clinch, timings to clinch, how to clinch and protect your chin at the same time, how to hide your shoulder on the other side of your opponent's head while you're clinching, how to tie up his left arm but work your free hand on the right side. All of these tricks that Bernard Hopkins was extremely successful in. All these tricks that Muhammad Ali was successful in. Sugar Ray Leonard, you think he beat Marvin Hagler and ever beat Tommy Hearns and all these other guys he beat just by throwing punches? No, it's not about throwing punches. It's about being in a position to throw a good punch so it can land. You know what I mean? And that goes with clinching, that goes with punching, any offensive or defense. You have to commit to anything that you do in boxing to be successful at it.
Looking at it from the other side of the clinch, it's an interesting point you made. It's just coming to my head is, I remember watching Fury Usyk back,
Yes.
and there's all the clips which start to come out of how whenever Tyson tried to clinch, tried to hold, Alexander always kind of had a free arm, so he wasn't allowing Tyson to do so. What do you make of how Alexander never allowed Tyson Fury to tie him up, to put his weight on him, to drain him?
I'm not sure when it was, but I know I did a few interviews when people was telling me Fury's going to be too big for him. He's going to clinch him. He's going to do this, how he did Wilder. And the main thing that I was saying was Usyk is going to use his feet. He's going to be very squirmy with his feet. The only way that system of being leaned on work for the person that's doing it is if they opposition just literally sit there and allow them to do that. But one of the main tactics to get out of a clinch game from somebody that like to do that is use your feet. Be very squirmy with your feet. Don't accept it. Francis Ngannou is a very big guy. Tyson Fury wasn't able to clinch him like that because Francis was physical up top, but he also used his feet to maneuver out of that. You just can't settle for it. You can't make a silent agreement with your opponent when he's trying to clinch you and you just decide to, okay, well, you clinching me, I'll wait for the ref. These referees will get you killed. These referees will get you fouled up. And these referees, most of them, in my opinion, don't really know what they're doing. They don't even know what they're really seeing. I watch so many fighters get piss blood after fight just from free hand work by their opponent. I'm not even going to say no names, but about 2 or 3 guys came to me and told me that they was pissing blood after high level fights just from their opponent working their free hand on their hip near the groin over and over. The ref is over here, but the guy got the free hand over there and just working it. These are things that give you, in my opinion, longevity, not just as a boxer, but as a human being in life. Because when boxing is over, we all still have to live. And when this is over, you want to be living and being able to talk and being able to walk straight and play with your kids and talk to strangers and touch people and still inspire people. Muhammad Ali inspired so many people when it was all over and his career was done, but I would have rather seen him enjoy it and really been able to. He understood his impact, but health wise, I just don't. I believe Parkinson don't allow you to enjoy all the inspiration you did for so many people. You understand what I'm saying? Somebody else that clinched very, very well. Muhammad Ali.
You mentioned to me the other day about how you had that experience of Alexander in training camps with him. You shared the ring with him. Can you reflect on that period, that time in your career, and what do you remember about working with Alexander? And when you did you see the greatness that everybody around the world is now seeing?
Yeah, absolutely. Uh, was it when he was in camp for? I think when he was before he was get ready to fight Murat Gassiev, who's one of the hardest punchers, in my opinion, in the history of the sport. Very, very hard puncher. Once again, I'm not talking about something I read or something I seen. I'm talking about something that I felt. When I seen how easily Sasha handled him, and there was a couple fights before that, when I was boxing and sparring him, the first thing that I was impressed with was his feet. The first thing that I was impressed with was, even though I was bigger than him and would try to grip him up, he wouldn't try to wrestle me up top. He would try to maneuver, but his feet never stopped moving. Alexander Usyk is pound for pound the best fighter in the world right now, as we say, and is deserving. Um, if we talking about accolades, Olympic gold medalist, if we talking about professional accolades, like what he just did the other night was incredible, and what he did in the division before he's at now was incredible. But the things that he used to, what I learned most off of him, or what I noticed most off of him, is just like his commitment to balance, his commitment to a good base. He's extremely stubborn. He's extremely stubborn fighter, and I'm not talking about stubborn, loudmouth outside the ring. I'm talking about stubborn when he told Tyson in an interview or on someone's camera, "Don't be afraid. Tomorrow I'm not going to leave you alone." That's really his style. And when he say he's not going to leave someone alone, he's not even talking about just with his hands. He's talking about pressure with his feet. He's talking about his feint game that's going to break your height down. He's talking about when you think he's right here, his left shot is coming up there. He's talking about, "I'm going to hurt you from your blind side because I'm going to go straight at you this much with my straight left and my jab and my feints down. You're going to forget about the blind side shot." And what is the blind side shot? It's the shot that had Fury down the other day. It's the shot that hurt almost every opponent that he's been in the ring with. It was a clip out many years, not many, a couple years ago, probably a few now, of when he boxed Dave Allen. It's the same exact shot. That shot wasn't some grueling shot like that, but his system is balance, straight shots, decoys from the bottom, bring your height down. And if you're a short guy, he don't have to bring your height down, but he's just going to get you reaching in front of him. If you get to reaching in front of him, or if you're a tall guy and you go for his feint game like most do, because nobody wants to get hit, so you're going to go for his feint because he's an elite fighter, right? He gets you so caught up on the parallel string of things that you forget the blind side. And he's not in a rush to throw it. He take his time. Just a real deal. A beautiful fighter, man. That's very patient. That is not, in my opinion, he's not a powerful guy. But the punches you don't see coming is the ones that hurt the most. And to me, it's nobody in the world that hits you with more shots that you don't see coming than Alexander Usyk. And Lomachenko does it as well. Lomachenko, yes, see, and the coincidence.
Um, One thing, and you mentioned the word patience there with Alexander, people kind of suggest that it takes a bit of time until he gets going in the fight. Now, obviously, with the Tyson one, people seem to have after 6, maybe 4-2 to Tyson was the general theme when I was speaking to people,
Yes.
or 3-3 maybe.
Yeah.
Why do you think it is? Do you see it as simple as what people say, downloading the data, if you will? He's just working out what his opponent's best attributes are before making them pay for the little mistakes? Or?
I just think it's just he do everything with purpose. He's one of those guys. He commit to his offense. He commit to his defense. He commit to his balance. He's not in a rush. He know he has 12 rounds, and most importantly of all, Alexander Usyk always find a way to win. That's just who he is. If you ask me anything or any quote that describes him, it's he always find a ways. He always find a way to win, no, regardless of the opposition. I'm talking about against a short, hard puncher like Murat, he make it look easy. Against somebody as stubborn, in my opinion, one of his toughest fights, Mike Hunter, he found a way to win. Against Derek Chisora once or twice. Once found a way to win, and Derek was on him like white on rice. Who else? Anthony Joshua twice found a way to win. And he's not doing this against C-minus fighters. Everybody I name, I put up on a high pedestal. And he's beating them. There's not one time he ever got a decision that I didn't think he should have got. Both AJ fights, I felt he won legitimately. The second fight, I thought AJ did much better, but I thought Usyk won the fight. You know what I mean? The Fury fight is interesting to me because sometimes I think Fury has created this you could say this aura around him where the wanting to lose and the want to see him getting humble and the want to see him getting humiliated in the boxing ring is so like a hunger for it that the minute that he do or somebody give a gallant effort against him, people automatically is just ready to say, "Oh, he lost." Like I thought Ngannou, as far as people pleasing, he did a good job at that. At being thrilled, he showed so much character against Fury. But technically wise, I didn't think he beat Fury in a boxing match. I believe Usyk won the fight, but it's very interesting to see how the scorecards, or if he would have won if the ninth round didn't happen. Like, you know what I mean? And that right there, that interest is the sales pitch for the rematch. You know what I mean? So I'm one of those, like, it's one of those things, like, because I think it's so easy for humans to get caught up in a moment. Don't forget, we in an instant gratification time. And even judges remember only what, the last 30 seconds that they seen in a round. And most people go off of highlights nowadays, and most people go off reels nowadays. So it's almost like if you think about the highlight of the fight is Fury falling all around the ring. Now, if you ask the typical consumer who should win the fight, they're going to say what? The highlight of the fight, which is Oleksandr Usyk. To me, I didn't think he won because the highlight of the fight. I had him winning probably about 1 or 2 rounds up, but it still was a very good fight. It still was a very good fight.
When you're sharing a ring with somebody like Alexander Usyk, how mentally draining is it to always be kind of? I imagine you start second guessing yourself because he's always making you think.
Always, and he's not just some. In my opinion, it's easier to deal with fighters that put pressure on you, and it's just offense arm pressure. They just punching in this that right there because usually that type of pressure, if you cracking them back, it eventually will slow down. It's very I don't know no one besides Vladimir Klitschko, Vitaly Klitschko, and Alexander Usyk that know how to put foot pressure on you and present pressure on you. Like they know how to literally drain you with their feet. They know how to drain you by putting energy on you and making you get away from something that they may be doing or they just manipulating you to think that they're doing. Vladimir was able to do it very well because Manny gave him that gem because Manny is very big on his fighter coming out and taking initiative. So he always would tell Lennox and Vladimir, when you come out, you are already so big. All you have to do is come out and literally put energy on these guys with feints, and it'll drain them. Alexander Usyk is not Lennox Lewis size or Vladimir size, so his approach to do it is using feint, good balance. Feint, closing space with good balance. Feint, controlling the air. Feint, punching at the air. Feint, and before you know it, he got guys reaching down, reaching down. Now, if they keep on doing this over 12 rounds, you'll find that 6'5" and 6'6" guys that he do that to, after 6, 7 rounds, they be fighting like this. They're no longer like this. They're no longer upright how a big man is supposed to be. If you keep fainting down and you have to punch down at somebody, you're eventually going to end up down here if you're not being cognizant of it mentally while you're fighting them. The system is tough, man. They have a tough system to beat. A real tough system to beat.
They've announced the rematch for December 21st.
Yes.
Do you expect it to go any differently?
Uh, I don't know. I said yesterday, I'm very fickle with box, especially at the high level, because one minute you'll hear me say, I think this guy is going to win. The next interview, I may say, it's 50-50. My strong opinion usually come, unfortunately, the morning of the fight. So right now, I'm going to say I can see Usyk winning in a much more clearer fashion. Um, and then, it's no telling. We're dealing with a live wire with Fury. He may come in 30 pounds heavier next time. He may come in 30 pounds lighter. Either way, no matter what weight he come in, or no matter how big he is, if he doesn't, I want to say make adjustments, because he made adjustments and the fight was close and some people thought he won. If you just asked me if I was a betting man, I would say Usyk is going to win in a much better fashion than he won in this fight.
Do you think he gets that stoppage you initially thought he would for the first fight?
Yeah. I thought this one was going to be a stoppage for Usyk, but I just thought it was going to happen on cuts. And I thought that was going to happen between like 7 and 10 or something like that. It didn't happen on cuts, but it almost happened just in a natural. I said cuts or Fury being overwhelmed. whenever it will happen, if a stoppage do happen with Usyk, Usyk get all his stoppages on the second half of the fight because he's not doing it but collecting data the first 5 or 6 rounds. Actually beating him in the first half of the fight is not really bragging rights. Like, you know what I mean? Like, even beating Usyk up in sparring is not really bragging rights because he has a mentality of the more he suffer in training, the better he'll be in the fight. He doesn't. He's not one of those guys that's in there during sparring that's really, really going hard, hard, hard. No, he is going, but he's not caught up from an egotistical standpoint on I have to win every round in sparring. No, it's not like that. I seen a man bring in 9 guys at one time that all weighed over 255 pounds and box 4 or 5 or 6 of them a day, and then go and swim 6, 7 miles, and then come back and do wall mathematic problems after doing 13, 14 rounds. And it's just 4 or 5 days out of the week. You know what I mean? And anything he gets, he's deserved because his mentality to boxing, his mentality the other day, even when he was walking to the ring, his mentality to deal with adversity during those tough times. Because Fury gave him a few tough times that at one time I was like, if it don't change, Fury might get a stoppage because it looked like it was going down that road. Um, but once again, he finds a way to win. Usyk finds a way to get it done, man. There's only one man to me really that could put his lights out cold. There's only one man that really can do it, and I've always said it. You already know where I'm going with it.
We're going to come on onto Deontay shortly, but
It's
well,
good.
somewhat bringing him into it. I want to
Yeah.
go back to when you two crossed paths in the ring.
Yes.
Talk to me about your preparations for that and trying to prepare for somebody who, when people speak about Deontay Wilder, they don't talk about his boxing skill set. They
Yes.
speak about one thing, about right hand, that destruction that comes with it.
Yeah.
Is it as simple as just preparing for one thing and these awkward dimensions?
And he's not slow.
Yeah.
Never been slow.
What do you prepare for in somebody like Deontay Wilder?
Well, the right hand is obvious what you prepare for. In my case with I boxed before that. We would spar a lot, and I got hit with one of his right hands, and it was a flash knockdown, but it was definitely a real knockdown in sparring before we actually fought. So I knew what I was going against. My whole system was not to get hit with it early, but he came around with a slapping left hook. But Deontay's slapping left hook is equivalent to some fighters, good fighters too, them turning their left hook over because he gets so much range on it. The preparation with someone like that, I wouldn't say it's very, very tough because you got to get big guys in that punch hard. And it's up to you and your team to not get hit with big shots during training camp, or try to keep it at a minimum. Like, you know what I mean? You don't want to just be getting hit with big shots and you're in sparring and you're going to box one of the hardest punches in the history of the sport. That's not going into a fight very confident. But these are things like you can say, who would I use as an example? I would say like when Ali was boxing. No, I'll use Lennox Lewis when he was boxing Gary fight David Tua. Tua had a left hook out this world. Lennox made life simple and said, okay, I'm going to bring in left hookers and I'm going to have my right hand up all camp. And then when he took that into the ring, Tua didn't hit him with one left hook, but it came from the preparation. So myself and the other guys that fought Deontay, I'm sure that we prepared right, or you prepare the best way you can. But boxing is all about what happens on the night. It's about who can stay elusive, who can stay alert, and who can imply their game plan the most. I implemented my game plan, I think, 39 times in my professional career, and 3 or 4 times I didn't, and it cost me. In my amateur career, I applied my game plan probably 74 times, and 3 times I didn't, and it cost me. Pretty cool, man. You know what I mean?
It's clear to see, obviously, you speak so eloquently, clear, concise in our conversation now. I imagine it's the same when you're training with Deontay.
Yeah.
Where did that link up come from, and what's it like training somebody who, yeah, you sparred, but also you shared the ring with, and ended ultimately with a stoppage defeat?
Well, in my opinion, you got to realize I got to look at everything like from the most logical standpoint. I try my best to always be as logical as possible. Like always, like, you know, that's my advantage to me over most people. Most people, they like to play not realistic games with themselves. They have, most people have mirror issues. That's not the case with me. A professional company one time, right? I'm not going to say nobody name when it comes to this because some of these professionals have passed away. I was with Main Events at one time and they wanted certain professional fighters that was legendary to train me. I tried to have those guys train me. They just didn't know what they was doing from a training aspect. Then I went to guys that wasn't legendary fighters. And when they trained me, it felt so much better, like I was getting taught, like I was getting good teaching the right way. There's an art to teaching. Everybody can't do it, even people that's been successful in the sport. I could name so many fighters that had great careers, awesome careers, but when it comes to teaching someone every day, when it comes to developing fighters, when it comes to having the patience to film study, when it comes to having the patience to, yeah, you're teaching somebody a good move. Now, what's the drill to that so they know how to do that move? Or you just complete copycat off of YouTube? I have a boxing brain, a boxing mind. My experience, it don't even have to come out of my mouth. It just is what it is. I've been doing it since I've been 12 years old and I've been geeked out. My knowledge for boxing plus my experience, it just is what it is. Like, I love this shit. I'm a born teacher when it comes to it. Like, I could we could shoot shop all day about boxing. I love being in the gym. I love teaching. Deontay Wilder knows that. The, the, the real peculiar thing to me is, once again, mankind is never satisfied. So we'll take Malik Scott out. I'm not in Wilder's corner. Well, Mark Breland was in his corner. It's tons. When I say tons, I mean literally. It's tons of articles. It's tons of quotes from your favorite commentator saying someone need to teach him how to box. He needs another trainer. When Mark Breland wasn't there, JD took Deontay from the beginning to all the way now, you can say. Who's that white man in his corner, JD's? He don't know what he doing. They never give no one credit for training them anyway. It's just never enough. Like, this just what it is. Mankind, right now, Derrick James, trainer of the year. Frank Martin won a fight, but probably didn't look spectacular. Errol Spence lost to the best fighter in the world, Terence Crawford. Do you know these humans start saying Derrick James is not a good trainer and overrated? This is just what they do. They love you today, hate you tomorrow, then love you today, then hate you tomorrow. It's up to you. You have to have a belief in yourself. Like, no, forget that. That's just noise and little gnats. Like, the opinions of human beings is always ostracized to me anyway. It's all about just staying on the mission, talking yourself through rough or good times, whatever it is it may be, and understanding these sticks and stones that get thrown at you, it come with the game. If you can't take that, then you shouldn't be aiming for what you're aiming for. What I'm aiming for is to contribute my teaching to boxing, develop fighters all over the world. I can't let what somebody write in the comments section get to me, then I don't deserve to be one of the best trainers in the world someday. Like, you understand what I'm saying? Like, you have to be prepared for this. I played dozens my whole life. You know what dozens is?
No.
I played dozens my whole life coming up as a kid. Dozens is your mom is this, your mom is that. Well, your mom got this kind of big head. Well, like, I come from a big city, Philadelphia. This is all we do is so I understand, or I have an understanding, like, this comes with it, the shit talking. You know what I mean? What is frustrating, what can get to you sometimes, is when people you think know better, they the ones that be quacking. Like, that right there could be a little bit shocking. So like, oh man, you know better. You come from this game. You've been a successful fighter. How are you sounding slight disgruntled and also sounding like a troll? Like, you know what I mean? This goes on a lot, and that come from this sport could be just like a real quack situation sometimes.
When do you think you start to get that credit then as a trainer now then, and working with Deontay? And
Yeah.
when we did our interview the other day, you pulled up Ben Davison, and you gave him great props for what he's starting to
Yeah,
kind
Ben
of
Davis
get
is a good
accomplishments
teacher.
for
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
Ben obviously has success with AJ. He's got a young Moses Atama who's seen as a future star. Fabio Wardley, British heavyweight champion. Lee Woods, featherweight world champion, recently vacated.
Yeah.
Amongst many other fighters.
Yes.
Worked with Tyson as well, of course.
Yes. Did a great job with Tyson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but it's only probably been, certainly maybe within the last year, maybe 18 months, people have started to give him that credit.
Yeah,
The first Fury Wilder fight, or Wilder Fury fight, was 2019-ish,
18,
2020,
yeah,
18?
19, something like that. Yeah,
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 around then. So you're talking 5, 6 years ago.
yeah.
But why is there this kind of delay from people giving credit where credit's due?
I don't know. It's very hard for me to get like caught up in it though because I have this arrogance with myself sometimes, and I'm explaining it to you. I don't think no one could be more realistic with me than me. I know when I'm a pain in the ass. I know when I'm the problem. I know when I do right and I know when I do wrong. If I'm the problem, won't nobody say it about me more than me. Like, you understand what I'm saying? But also, now this is where the vanity side comes in with me. Also, when I'm not the problem and when I am the SHIT and when I am the man, I'll also pat myself on the back with the same intent that I would do if I was having a bad day. And that's how I keep myself level headed. Like, you know what I mean? I'm 80/20. 80% of the time, I'm in love with myself. I have my 20% days though when I feel like shit, when I feel like I could be doing more, when I could feel like I could be adding more, I could be studying more, when I could be feeling like I could be feeling more alive and not being as down and having better energy. But 80% of the time, man, I'm very, very, very satisfied and feel extremely blessed with the knowledge and the attributes that God gave me. I could sit here and have a full-on conversation with you. I got Deontay Wilder. He's about to have an incredible performance Saturday night and become two-time heavyweight champion of the world. I have my son here with me in Saudi Arabia. I'm surrounded by tons of people that love me. Like, you know what I mean? It's a beautiful thing, man. So I have too many blessings and I have too many things that I want to do that can affect people in a positive way to really worry about when I'm going to get my credit because I already thought I was getting my credit. Like this stuff right here that people be saying as far as trainer and just yeah, it's cute, but like you know what I mean. I know what I am. My experience speaks for itself, and most people that criticize me haven't done what I've done in 2 days. Better yet, 20 something years, and that's literally just stay consistency in one passion since the age of 12. That right there is like goals within itself. You know where I'm from? I'm from North Philadelphia, man. A lot of my friends didn't make it to this point right here. They didn't stay focused on their path. Like I had tons of options to go another direction. My father was a gangster. I had friends that moved in the streets the way that they did. I chose to do right. I chose to go to the gym every day as a kid. I chose to walk through projects and be risked and got robbed at times just because I was trying to go to the gym and had to come back at 10 o'clock at night. That put it all on the line to be where I am at today.
Let's go on to Saturday Night Malik.
Yes,
Because we've spoken probably about an hour and we haven't gone
it's
on to
good.
it yet,
It's
but I've
good.
enjoyed it
Yes.
so much. I've got my phone here, it's got a list of notes. I haven't looked at it once.
All good, man. We get it
Which,
done.
no, that's, no, like, I'm enjoying that though. Like, I enjoy the fact I don't need to look at it
Yes.
and we can just converse. Saturday night, though, Deontay Wilder's return. A lot of people have question marks over him now on the back of the Parker fight, his timing being off. Is he
Yes.
still there? Will we see him return to the top?
Yes.
What gives you the confidence that he will have another reign as a king of the heavyweight division?
Well, one, his back is up against the wall. He know the type of performance he had. We know the type of performance we had last time. The loss affected us both. It affected us both to know that we're better than that. To know that he's better than that, coming from a performance standpoint. Um, he know what he has to do. I know what he has to do. We talked about this. We had a lot of late night talks about this after the fight. He started training camp 5 months ago, going on 6. He sacrificed a lot. He was very violent in camp. He was very assertive in camp. Um, that fight was a nightmare to him afterwards. He felt very bad about that. But he felt so bad he didn't just sit on it and mope around about it. He started pre-camp very, very early. And he's made quantum leaps, and I'm proud of him already. At the same time, we got Big Jang to handle, and I have Sean George to handle. And Sean George is a very, very well schooled boxing brain. I come up with him We come up with each other from kids at the age of 17, 16, whatever it is, living in Marquette, Michigan together. He's a very good teacher as well. And we have our hands full come Saturday night. But I believe the preparation, I believe the violence, I believe the intent, I believe the assertiveness and everything that Deontay have shown in training camp, the sacrifices. I believe it's all going to pay off for him Saturday. And I believe you guys may not just see the bronze bomber. Y'all may see the very best bronze bomber version. So everything is right there for him. Like everything is right there for him. I just want him to show you guys what I see all the time in the gym. I want him to show you guys the stuff that I brag about when I call him the most dynamic fighter in the history of the sport. I want you guys to see that Saturday. And if he do everything that he's been doing in training camp, you guys will see that.
We spoke earlier about fighters staying hungry, staying motivated when they have all of those amazing
Yes,
luxurious things
yes,
going on in
yes.
life. Do you still see that hunger? Do you still see that desire within Deontay?
Yes, this camp I have. I haven't seen him this. I haven't seen it like this since before Stavern won. Um, just getting up every morning, got to meet me and Don House at the track. He pull up with the Rolls Royce, getting out tired. He hates getting up. He do not like being on that track. He do not like running. He do not like. But he put all that ego shit to the side. He put all that the bad habit as far as not liking to do that mentality. He put it all to the side, and he got it done. He didn't miss no days. On time all the time. Asking for more rounds, asking for more work, asking for more knowledge. Film studying every Sunday and Monday at his house in the theater room. Like, what I mean? We really put the work in, man. And I want him to get what he deserves. And what he deserves is to wake up Sunday morning and feel like what he is, a champion, and feel like what he is, a very prideful man. And he could do that. And I believe he's going to do that Saturday night. I have just as much as belief in Deontay as I had before the Joseph Park. I know what comes with this game. What comes with this game is bad days in the office, great days in the office. The undefeated thing and the performance rate thing sometimes in boxing get taken way out of hand. Like, these guys is human, and boxing is very Z shape. It's not parallel. You'd be surprised on what you see in here. That last performance, I didn't expect that. Like Deontay, I don't believe expect that. Believe sometimes you could get in that ring and things just don't go the way you thought they was going to go. You can't pull a trigger. What you think is there is not there. And in my opinion, still, like, you guys haven't given Joseph Parker and Andy Lee enough credit. It may be something that him and Andy Lee is doing to make these big titans get a little gun shy, to make these big titans not take a lot of chances. So, it's an even playing field to me. But I know everything in training camp was done as far as Deontay crossing all his T's and dotting all his I's. And we did our part as far as preparation. And now nature and destiny is going to take its course come Saturday night. And I believe when you don't take no shortcuts, I believe a fighter can trick his trainer. He can trick his brother. He can trick his coach. He can trick it. But what you can't trick or cheat is destiny, because destiny is going to give you what you really, really deserve. So I believe Saturday he's done everything that I asked of him, that JD's asked of him, Don House, all of us as a collective team, we asked him for a lot, and he gave us all that plus more. And I believe Saturday is going to pay off for him. Like I said, we have our hands full. Big Zhang is who he is, but he's also big, which means he's right there. That's a lot of man for us to hit come Saturday, and Deontay is going to go through him.
Before we break the fight down a little bit more,
Yes.
one more question on Deontay, and
Yeah.
I found it interesting. Not once, even after the third Fury fight, did Deontay ever suggest retirement, even if he had that time away from the ring. In a few interviews this week, he suggested if he isn't successful, maybe it is time for him to step away from the sport. If ever a fighter speaks like that, and in this case Deontay, are there any concerns that maybe he has one foot out of the door, which might affect his mentality going into Saturday night?
Oh no, I seriously doubt that. That the human is in him. Like, you know what I mean? It's no secret the position that he's in. And the position that he's in is a very natural position. He's not 22. He's not 30. He's almost 40 years old. So any fighter to me that's almost 40 years old, whether they win or no losing, is saying, I'm on my second half. This is getting interesting, but the exit is coming pretty soon, whether you're successful or not, right? Or whether you're winning or losing or not. That's just a natural thought. But when you're losing or you had like a bad performance, of course it's going to sink in a little bit more because now you're going to start questioning, oh, Father Time is undefeated. That's probably what they meant or whatever. But at the same time, I believe mentally you have to fight even past that. If you really want to become two-time heavyweight champion of the world, you have to erase those type of thoughts or those type of doubts and say, hold on, who did it from the age of 38 or 37 on up? Many have done it from 37 to 38 on up. And when I say many, I'm not saying 100. I'm just saying enough for you to be inspired by, for you to believe that you can do it yourself, especially when you're the hardest puncher in the history of the sport. You know what I mean? And the power don't go nowhere. It don't go nowhere. Like, I can't, people have this thing in their mind like, I can't change who Deontay Wilder is. Like, I can't change that. I know exactly who he is. He's a pure puncher and a pure killer. But what I'm not going to have him do, or what I never would teach him to do, is, especially for the sake of some fans that's going to go home to their family and live their life after he get in there and risk his life, I'm not going to tell Deontay to get in there and just go windmill and throwing punches. If that time come and he does that to finish a guy, yeah, oh, cool. But I'm not going to teach that. Like, that's not what I'm going to teach. I'm going to teach you to be aggressive, to be assertive, to don't forget who you are, to pull the trigger, to let the missile go because God gave you a gift and you have to use it. And you can't be in there thinking, let your fucking missile go. I'm going to do that, but by any means not. I'm always going to make sure keep your chin tucked, stay alert. Balance is key for you. You can't have your feet all over the place. Things of that nature. Like, you know what I mean? I'm in this for the long run. Like, Deontay is just not my fighter. He's my brother as well. So not only do I want to see him become two-time heavyweight champion, but I also want to see him continue to raise his kids, continue to be a businessman, continue to broker deals, and be able to talk fluently and things of that nature. Like, you know, I'm really in this, man, for the best of my guys. Like, I want the best for him in the ring and out the ring.
Big Bang Zhang.
Yes.
He's adamant he wants Deontay to think about two things:
Yeah.
his backhand and his right hook.
Yes.
What are you more concerned by?
I'm concerned about the second punch. And I wouldn't say I'm concerned about it. I just know his strengths. He get your attention with the first shot. He do more than get your attention with the first shot. But if he get that hook off that he iced Joyce with, then it doesn't matter who he really hit with that. They're going to, it's just one of those kind of shots. So we prepare for it. We know how to take it away. We know exactly what to do when he do that. We've drilled it over and over and over. We film studied it over and over. That comes with good preparation. And we did that. That's the beauty in this of you could say this noble art. It's taking weapons away and still being able to use yours. And they trying to take our weapon away too, but the only thing is this: you got 12 rounds to try to take this weapon away. And we're going to get him so caught up on worried about that. We got some nice treats and some nice surprises for him.
One of the talking points with Zhilei Zhang is a lot of people believe that he slows down after maybe 4 or 5 rounds. He doesn't have that stamina to...
Yeah, that's what he do.
Yeah, so
yes.
Is that part of the plan, taking past, say, the halfway point, and then the opportunities will open up a lot more?
I believe the opportunities is there early beforehand. But yeah, when things get dark, we see how his character is. Like, he's a very, very big man. Things get dark. He got to move 270 or 80 pounds, whatever it is. And he's a different type of, when Fury is like 270 and he's big, Zhang is a different type of 270 when he's big. He's like 270 or 280.
Well, he said he's going to come in at 300 because he was 300 for his last fight with Joe Parker.
That's what I mean. But he didn't look 300 yesterday, I don't think. He came down, right? So whatever weight he is, it won't matter. I just believe that it's so much man for us, and his head is so big. You can't miss it. And I'm expecting him to get greedy, and when he get greedy and cross the line, he'll pay. And he'll pay like he never did before, because this is his first time in the ring with a puncher like Deontay. This is his first time in the ring at this level right here. He's never been in with a more dangerous guy. He's never been in with a more striking fast, fighter like Deontay. He's never been in with nobody as dynamic as Deontay. Deontay has been in with tons of guys big. He's been in with tons of guys that's southpaws. He actually fights southpaws very good. You know what I mean? And he know how to put them in position. The difference with Zhang and anybody else Deontay fought that southpaw is the size different. But size don't win fights. Mindset win fights. It's the mindset. It's the willing to make adjustments. It's the willing to not make silent agreements. It's the willing to commit to everything, the offense and the defense. And that's what we're going to do Saturday night.
There's 3 potential fights I want to get your thoughts on.
Yes.
We spoke quite in depth about Mr. Oleksandr Usyk earlier.
Yeah.
You said there's one man who has that detonator, that one man who can go lights out, Mr.
Yes.
Usyk.
Yeah.
And that is obviously your man, Deontay Wilder.
Yes.
Is that what it takes? Do you need to basically have something like Deontay has to beat Oleksandr Usyk?
I believe so, yes. I believe so because he come on so strong in the second half that if you have nothing to make him pay during the second half of the fight, he's not going to leave you alone. He's not going to leave you alone. He says himself, you got to have something that will make him leave you alone. Some fighters you can how can I put this? Some fighters you can beat, but then some fighters you have to knock out cold. I believe Oleksandr Usyk is the type of guy you have to knock out cold. I also believe that about Tyson Fury. Some fighters you could beat, but then some fighters you have to knock out cold. And if we're talking about someone that can knock out Oleksandr Usyk cold, there's only one man, in my opinion, that's capable of doing that. And I'm talking lights out, that type of cold. Not like getting hit by somebody bigger and you're hurt and you're able to recoup. Not that. Deontay possessed something that literally shuts everything in your nervous system down. And you're out cold and you're trying to figure out what happened to you and the fight is over and you're back in the dressing room surrounded by your family. That's the type of power he possessed. And I believe that's the type of power that's a threat to Oleksandr Usyk type of style. Like, you know what I mean? This is not a diss. This is just my logic and my truth. I believe if you don't have a one-hitter quitter, you cannot beat the man. Just can't. He won't leave you alone. If you don't give him a reason to leave you alone, he won't leave you alone. It's a reason he beat AJ twice and Fury once. It's not by accident. It's not because he's just a good boxer. It's because his mentality is strong, his base is very good, his feint game is very good, his speed is very good, his counterpunching is very good, and most of all, he finds a way to win very good. That's just what it is. He is who he is, you know? And if you don't have a missile for him to not leave you alone, then history going to repeat itself over and over and over again. And if you've been around Usyk over the last 10 years or 8 years, how I have, in and out of camps with him, going to Ukraine with him, seeing the type of person he is, being around him and his family and his team, then what he did the other day is really not shocking to you. It's just not. 5 years ago, I told people this dude to be heavyweight champion of the world. I didn't know. Bro, they was plotting on AJ many years ago. They already knew they wanted to fight AJ for the title. When he was a cruiser, they already was planning on it. But the man didn't even have 25 fights, do he?
No, it's 22.
22. Gotta be happy for somebody like that, man. We'll see. My job is to get Zhang put on ice Saturday, and then from there we'll see. But it's only one man that could do it.
Sticking with the theme of potential fights, Anthony Joshua. At one point, it could have been an undisputed bout. It never came to fruition.
Yes.
But we're back kind of full circle. A lot of people talking basically if Deontay can beat Zhang, and if Anthony Joshua is successful in September, maybe the back end of this year, early next year, we finally get a Joshua Wilder fight.
Yeah.
Is that a fight which is still spoken about by Deontay? Is that a fight which excites you all?
Yes. It's a fight that's spoken about. It's just one of those fights. Like, and people always want to see them two guys in the ring. It's just like now the juice of the fight, as time go on, like with anything as time go on, it go down and down and down. What would be extremely sexy is if we knock out Zhang and fuck everything else. AJ and Deontay fight in September.
Would you guys take that, a September fight with AJ, September 21st, the rumoured Wembley bout?
Yeah, but first, it's very tough for me to really even consider that because we have Zhang Saturday. Like, so the what ifs and things like that, yeah, you could.
No cuts, no injuries. Deontay looks amazing, gets that stoppage on Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
if it was proposed,
Yes,
you think Deontay would go, let's get it on?
absolutely. Yeah, yeah. I would hope AJ would too, though. But you never know, man. You never know in boxing, man. These guys, we'll see. We'll see.
How different of a proposition is it to face this version of Anthony Joshua with Ben Davison as opposed to, say, one a year, 18 months ago when a lot of people were questioning AJ and questioning kind of
Kind of feel
if
good.
that fear
It
factor
kind of
was
feel
setting
good.
in.
Like even though AJ, he's on the other side, right? Kind of feel good. I like seeing when people get in the position to make other people wrong. Doesn't matter. Like you know what I mean? I kind of, you know, Deontay gonna put him on ice if they ever fight. But I kind of like this little moment for AJ right I kind of like that he's in the position like, you know, there was so much shit getting thrown at him, and now he's in the position where, he's not champ again yet, like officially or anything like that, but he's just in a position where people are looking at him in a higher standard than they was before. And I love that for not just him, for anybody in life, not just even in boxing. I love when people defeat the odds, when the world is against someone and they're able to turn the leaf and actually do things that people thought they probably couldn't do again. So it's a good thing, man. Like, I'm just focusing on us doing the same thing Saturday because there's a lot of rah-rah, a lot of quack going on about what Deontay can't do. Malik Scott is not a real champ. All that shit. Sick of all that shit. Sick of all that shit. It's good though. It's good for the game. It's entertaining. And to keep the flow of things going. Like, you know what I mean? We all get our time when you could say, like, it's your turn. Like, I forgot who was it after Deontay and Parker fight, right? One of my guys, he's a incredible head trainer. I got a message from him, and the message was, "All right, I hope you're ready because here they come." And when I went to the comments, they were shooting me with everything.
First thing we're taught, even on YouTube, even in our interviews, never read the comments. You just open for criticism.
Gosh, shit, I love this shit so much, man. I thought the beauty of that was crazy because I read his message to me. He's like, "Bro, good fight, y'all will be back." Da, da, da. And it said, "P.S. But here they come, so get ready." And when I went right over to the next thing, it was just all these, "You piece of shit, you can't shoot, you can't train a frog how to jump." Hey, Jesus, man, it's all good though. It really is, and I mean that. Like, I enjoy the highs and lows of this because it's all legal, it's all a dream. It all come from my passion for boxing. I could take the good, I could take the bad. Like, I really get a kick out of this shit, man.
There's one man, Malik, who,
Yes,
whenever I hear Deontay talk, I feel like there's a sense of respect, but also there is. I don't know how to sum it up, but
yeah,
I don't know whether hatred's too strong of a word, but a disliking to the very least towards Tyson Fury.
yeah,
There's no doubt in anybody's mind he'd love a fourth
yes,
fight there. Probably argue it's the fight he'd want most, the
yeah,
chance to put everything right.
yes.
How much or how badly did the first three fights hurt Deontay, especially the way things ended in the trilogy?
Um, well, one, there was a lot of allegations going on around all all of the fights. It was a switch in trainers. It was allegations with tampering of gloves. It was allegations, just so many things that came with it.
Did you have thoughts on all of that?
Mm, I had thoughts on it coming from a perspective of one man has a history of actually being in media for doing things not the right way. And one man is saying, well, when he fought me, he didn't do things the right way. The real frustration coming where people act like the man that was saying that had no right or they didn't understand why he would say that. So that's just my take on that right there. Because we on the bigger and better things right now, right? And the most important thing to me is that hopefully they get to do it for a fourth time. Everything else don't mean shit. It would be like something cool that you could just label as a video. What's that thing y'all be doing? When y'all like take a line out of a video and make that the top of the title. Come on, you
clickbait.
fucking know. Yes, you know. I hope we got a few of those in here, man. But as far as that, I don't like, it's good, man. I just want Deontay hopefully to get another shot at him. And it won't even be a shot because he's not even champion no more. Usyk, I'd rather for Deontay to fight Usyk than to fight, Fury for a fourth time. Like, fight AJ than Fury for a fourth time. Like, I'm into him fighting other people that, we haven't got to yet. Like.
If that timing's back and we see that knockout on Saturday,
Yeah.
we spoke again, going back to our interview on Monday, I asked you if Tyson's punch resistance has started to fade, and a lot of people are starting to see maybe that might be the case now. Obviously, Alexander hurt him, and Ngannou dropped him, but a lot of it could be put down to those tough fights with Deontay,
Yes.
the damage Deontay had done with to Tyson. If there was that 4 fight to swing around, Deontay to stop Tyson, in your mind, is a no-brainer.
It would have to still be done the right way. He's still Tyson Fury. Ngannou could hit anybody with a hook. I didn't see Ngannou hit AJ. AJ didn't allow that shit to go down at his party. He shut the whole offense down. But that hook that he hit Fury with, he might knock anybody down with that hook. Fury is just engaging enough at the time to get hit with the shot. That shot that Usyk hit Fury with, he hurt AJ with that same shot. Like, you know what I mean? So it's not like, to me, a problem is okay, like when it comes to fighters, I really, really believe a fighter should consider retiring when he's fighting fighters that's nowhere near on his level and he's beyond struggling with them. But at the high level, Deontay not having the best performance against Joseph Parker. I know people don't want to hear this, guys, but it's Joseph Parker. He's legitimate. He didn't have that poor performance against the guy, the number 18 guy. Tyson, he just lost to Oleksandr Usyk, guys. Probably one of the greatest southpaws or one of the greatest fighters of all time. And he lost by 1 or 2 points. AJ lost to Usyk twice. He lost to Usyk twice, guys. Like, yeah, it's a shame in losing. You shouldn't want to lose. But these guys are so good. Look what it's take. Like, okay, so we'll use my guy. Deontay was on the run. Regardless of anything that happened, as far as allegations with him and Fury, whatever, look what it took to stop the momentum that he was having. It took a Tyson Fury, another great fighter. None of these guys should be considering retiring to me because ain't nobody but great fighters fucking with them. You should get out the game. If you an A-level fighter and you struggling with D-minus guys, I've never seen Deontay struggle with a C-minus guy, a B-minus guy, like never. Like, you know what I mean? I never seen Tyson Fury really struggle with someone D-minus. A lot of people say, well, Otto Wallen's not that good. Otto Wallen's a southpaw and he's crafty. And let me see you get in there with him. Like, it's not as easy as, like, you know what I mean? I never seen AJ struggle with somebody he ain't supposed to be struggling with like that. Like, you know, yeah, it took him some time to catch up to Helenius, but when he caught up with him, it was lights out. Him and Jermaine Franklin, you put that fight on mute, it's a very, very good fight. It's a throwback fight to, like, we'll say Pinklin Thomas fighting Trevor Burbick. Back when Larry Holmes was fighting Carl the Truth Williams. That fight is a very, very good fight. People just let that breeze because they didn't like how AJ, once again, they was coming down on Derrick James then, coming down on AJ then. They make it seem like he's fighting the bum. Jermaine Franklin is a legitimate guy to be coming back up against when you're trying to get your shit back together. So these guys need Usyk, Deontay Wilder, Tyson Fury, Anthony Joshua. I never seen none of these guys struggle with D-minus guys. Never. They ain't gonna struggle with the Kevin McBrides of the division. They not gonna struggle with anybody. See, Mike, you gotta be great to beat these guys. Like, you know, or you gotta be considered great to beat these guys. They in the midst of all of each other. I watch a lot of guys out here like they be fighting these guys and they be struggling with C-minus guys. But you calling out Anthony Joshua, but you struggling with a C-minus guy. You calling out Deontay, but I just seen you out on your feet against a D-plus guy. Like, you know, yeah, well, we could always lean on styles to make fights. Yeah, that shit sound cute, but to me, like, the game should go like, okay, you beating the D-plus guys, now you beating the C-plus guys. We're going to give you a strong B-plus guy. You beat the B-plus, now you got to get in title contention. So we'll say, for an example, let's use Frank Sanchez. The other day, he fought
Caballero.
Caballero. That was a good fight. Caballero didn't get the memo, and he fought like it. They put Caballero up against the big Russian from Canada. He don't get the memo. He could fight. I never seen nobody do Frank Sanchez like that, or the big Russian. What's his name?
Makhmedov.
Makhmedov. I never seen nobody do him like that. It's something. Caballero has this thing, and it's not just he has a big heart. I believe he's more heavy-handed than it looks. I believe he's faster than it looks, and I believe his defense is deceiving. I don't think he is easy to hit as it looks. And when you get guys in there like that, when they fight in their opposition, the opposition be so shocked because they're like, oh, it don't look like this from the outside. From the outside, it look like you can just box them and win. No, but when you get in there with guys, they know how to work distance. They heavy-handed. When they hitting you in your arms, you feeling it like you never thought you will. And then they get to your head, and he does some beautiful stuff in there. But keep that in mind, guys. Fighters should not consider retiring until they start struggling with guys that's not in a league at all. And I've seen great fighters stick around too long and start struggling with guys that's not in a league. Stop seeing Anthony Joshua, Tyson Fury, Deontay Wilder. They ain't saying that about Usyk yet because he's undefeated. They only start talking that shit when you lose a fight. You can't even lose a fight. Or they'll start saying you need to retire. AJ lost to Usyk the first time. They were saying, man, you need to go ahead and retire. Bro, he got off the canvas and beat Vladimir Klitschko. What y'all talking about? Like, you know what I mean? What y'all talking about?
AJ got a lot of critics after the Ruiz fight.
Yeah, oh man. And then when he came back and won the Ruiz fight, they didn't even like that. You cannot please these people. You have to understand, you have to entertain them, but for the sake of it, Floyd Mayweather's system is the best one to me. He protected himself, was entertainment. He sold his market outside the ring, but then when he got out inside the ring, he was completely himself, dressed down the defense, and got paid a shitload of money for it. Say what you want, they paid him for it.
Final one, Malik, to wrap this up. Just as we mentioned, Derek Chisora earlier and Joyce. Obviously, Joe was somebody who was previously mentioned as a potential opponent for Deontay. Could that granite chin stand up to the right hand of Deontay?
Yeah.
Imagine he's kind of some way away now. But what do you make of their fight, Joyce and Derek Chisora?
They're going to rock 'em, sock 'em. Speaking of rock 'em, sock 'em.
Back to the beginning.
I got great respect for both guys. I spent a lot of time with Joe Joyce in training camps in Big Bear, even in London. We spent tons of time together. Me and Chisora shared the ring together. Plus, we spent just a lot of one-on-one time together, you can say, of some sense. It's a good fight, man, as long as it lasts. A lot of people see it as it's going to be I don't see it as a knockout. I don't think it's going to be a stoppage. I think they're going to beat the shit out of each other for 12 rounds, though. I think they're going to beat the shit out of each other. Is that the O2?
Yes.
Yeah, that's going to be good.
You going to fly over?
It'd be a domestic fight like that I would fly over to see. A domestic fight like that, probably. Yeah. I'll see what Kate is doing. Maybe me and Kate go together. My baby.
I mean, you brought up Katie. Obviously, there was a lot of talk back in the UK. But Thierry Henry, Jamie Carragher,
yes.
all of that. It's more of kind of British banter, if you will. But what did you make of everybody speaking about their on-screen kind of chemistry?
Oh, that's good, man. They got great chemistry on screen. Real good chemistry on screen. No, man, they got great chemistry on screen. They work good together. I spent some time with Thierry.
I imagine when you rocked up,
it was a little quiet. Bro, all love, man, all love. I really enjoyed the panel. I love the show. I'm learning more and more about the sport thanks to Kate. And also thanks to them because Thierry, my favorite part of the show is I tell them all this all the time. At least I told Thierry and Kate this, is when they doing the screen and Thierry is showing the plays and it's a film study moment and he's showing why this player did this. And he's actually 3 moves ahead on the goal actually being done. And I enjoy that because it reminds me of the way I film study. I'd be like 3 moves ahead before the entertainment part. So we went over that and we all talked and, you know what I mean? It's all love, man. All love.
I'm glad to hear it is, Malik.
Yes.
Listen, I appreciate your time. I think we've just spent the best part of almost probably an hour and a half at least.
Yeah.
And I've enjoyed every minute of it. Thank you for your time.
Amen.
Good luck on Saturday night, and I'm sure we'll have plenty of interviews ahead.
Love, brother. See you soon. Oh, man.